Hi, this is Dr. Dan Ritchie, President of the Functional Aging Institute, and you are on another webinar with us. Today we have Scott Rawcliffe from Australia, and he's going to be talking about Facebook marketing strategies for the fitness professionals. And it is 6 a.m. Australia time, and we're kicking off here at 4 o'clock New York time. So Scott, thanks for doing this for us. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I love kind of hanging out with the functional aging family. You guys are doing some awesome stuff. So hopefully I can share some great stuff for everyone listening in. Now this is kind of a two-parter. I know Dan, well, he said he was going to be back on November, so hopefully I don't mess up too bad here. But kind of, today is going to be more about kind of the beginner to intermediate person. So someone that has, maybe never run any paid advertisement or never, not done much marketing on Facebook. Now, if you are doing a bit of marketing on Facebook, you will get some, some value of this, but you'll definitely get a lot more from that second webinar we do. But this one's more to kind of really just show you, if you've never done it, make Facebook not as scary and kind of understand some of the mistakes a lot of people are making. So just to kind of clarify what we're covering here. So if you have been doing a little bit of Facebook marketing before, if it kind of starts off slow, then that's a good sign, because that means you're obviously doing it right. So first of all, I want to talk about, because I'm going to split it up, because we don't always have to do paid marketing. There's a lot of things you can do for free, and with most fitness professionals' budget, that kind of fits right in. So I want to share some free stuff before we get into any of the kind of paid stuff, because you might as well be leveraging that. And I see a lot of fitness professionals, when I speak to them or look at their page, that they're really not doing much from the free side of things, or they're just kind of missing a few little things. So I'm going to share some of the free tactics you can use. So first of all, start sharing testimonials. So get testimonials from your clients. We can never have enough, so just continually ask for them. And these can be in either a written form, right? And you can throw that up on your Facebook page with a picture of them, or you can get a video. And I know a lot of people are afraid to be on a video, so I'll give you kind of my quick little tip on how to film a testimony on a video that we find works pretty well. So tip number one, put your iPhone or kind of whatever smartphone you're using, put it at your chest instead of actually kind of putting it up by your face and filming to them, because then if people don't see that phone, it kind of makes them a little bit more at ease, and then you have them look at you and actually talk to you, and that usually puts them to ease straight away. And then we just ask a couple of quick questions. We just get them to tell us their name, how long they've been training with us, kind of what's the biggest result that they got from training with us, or why did they come and see us. And then the last question is kind of tell us one thing that's happened that you didn't expect. And then that way you're always getting a little different testimonial from everyone. It's not always sounding the same, but and then they don't have to think through it or get all flustered or wound up that they have to do a video testimony. It has to be perfect, because usually your clients are they're trying to do something for you and they really want to make it good. So video or just a written testimonial, and put that up on your page, and do that on a weekly basis, because people want to see that you're getting results. People want to see, if they see someone on your page that is just like them, that transformed their body, then they're going to believe in you, or they're going to kind of know, like, and trust you a little bit more. So start to, gather those testimonials, because like I said, you can never have too many, and then just start sharing them on a weekly basis. So maybe every Thursday you put up your testimonial, or every Monday, or whatever it is, but just, start sharing those on a consistent basis, and you'd be surprised at kind of what comes about from that. Second, before and after. Now this is share those before and after pictures, share those transformations. This is a free tactic, because if you try to do this with paid marketing, if you try to put a before and after picture up, it would get denied. It wouldn't get approved. You can't show before and afters as paid marketing, but you sure as heck can do it without paying for it to show up. So if you have before and after pictures, if you have more of a kind of a transformation gym, or you run kind of challenges like that, share those as well. They can kind of go up the same as your testimonials, but again, showing people the results you get. If you're kind of putting someone on there, tag them, tag that person in there, because you want them to you want to give them that public praise, but you also want them to know that, you know, you put it out there. So make sure you ask them first, right? Make sure you don't put up some shy person that doesn't want their picture to be shown. And then tag them in there, because in that way their friends are going to see it as well, and it kind of gets a little bit more virality. So, you know, get those, if you have those before and after pictures, start using those. And then,
hey, couple questions, Scott, because
no problem.
We've had great success with sort of before and after pictures. You can't run that as an ad or even a boosted post, correct?
No, you can't, but I'll give you a little. So if anyone is, now again, this is maybe a little more advanced tip, but right now, at this moment, there's kind of a little hack you can do. So what Facebook will let you do is run, it's called carousel ads. So you can put more than one picture on for your ad. So technically, and we've done this, if you put on the before picture as the first picture, then the after picture on the second picture, it's going to show up in the newsfeed with those pictures side by side. But right now, they're still not noticing that it's an actual before and after. They're just seeing it as two different pictures. So
what about a before and after video? We had a gal who went from a size 20 to a size 4, and so she holds up her jeans and then, you know, shows the difference, and it's a video. Could you run that as a video ad or a boosted post? Do you think they would approve that?
Right now, yes. What I would do is I wouldn't have that at the very start of the video. I would have that kind of after they tell their story, because I do know that they are looking at the videos, but it's hard to tell right now. They're not saying how much of the videos they watch, and it's hard to tell because I've had a few coaching clients that have had some video ads disapproved, and they had text in it, because there's a rule of you can't have more than 20% text in a photo of an ad, and the same thing with the video. So that kind of popped up and it got denied, and that would be really the only reason we could think of. So I would probably put it a little bit later in the actual video, but yeah, you can definitely do that. That's another way to get around that. But they do watch part of it, so you know, if it gets, you know, they might just, you know, say no, that's denied. So, you know, back to the drawing board, which is no big deal. But yeah, videos were great.
Okay. Hey, I'm guessing you're in presentation mode on your presentation. Is it possible for you to go full screen for us so we see your slide full size?
I think okay, because it's full screen on my screen. So is it just kind of, is it a small screen that's coming up?
What we're seeing is success stories. We're seeing your next slide, and then we're seeing click to add meeting notes down below.
Okay. Now what are you seeing?
Now we're seeing it looks like a Word document.
Okay, I got you. All right. Let's see if this works here. Because I have my two screens. I was trying to be technical and have two screens up here. Alrighty, and give me 2 secs here. Is that better?
Now we see, not quite there. Yep, there we go. Perfect. Awesome.
Perfect.
That's much better. Now we see it full screen. Action shot,
so
shout out, success stories. Great. Perfect.
You're getting to see my next slide. That's no fair.
Yeah, we were getting to peek ahead, and I was waiting for some of your notes to come out and go, oh yeah, that's the magic right there. So cool. That's better. That's better. We can see it better.
Perfect. Good. Yeah. So and kind of, Dan, you brought up videos, and that's definitely, there's a massive shift towards videos on Facebook. I mean, they are. I saw a stat recently where they actually get more. So you take the most popular TV channel in the world, which is ESPN, believe it or not, and Facebook gets 10 times as many viewers of their videos on Facebook than what ESPN gets viewers daily and monthly. So that just kind of gives you a rough idea of how many people are watching videos on Facebook. So and they're putting a lot of effort into making it better and trying to help, you know, you utilize videos better. So definitely, if you're not shy to get behind a camera, if your clients aren't shy to be filmed, start using more of those videos, because it's just, that's where everything's moving. So yeah, success stories. So share success stories. So maybe we're talking to some people that are obviously interested in working with the baby boomers, and usually their biggest goal is not to lose a bunch of weight. It's to feel better. It's to play with their grandkids. They have different goals. So that's where you want to share that success story. Explain kind of how they were when they came in, and kind of the transformation they made, or kind of that big success that they had. Again, it's because we want people to see similar people to them getting the results that they desired. So share that success story as well. Like, these are all things that you should be programming or planning out in what you put out on a weekly basis, not just kind of randomly putting stuff out there, but think through, what do I want to share? What is the story I want to share? What is the information I want to share with my followers? And be strategic on what goes out there. So that's why all of these things here, you don't have to share them all every single week, but sharing these things, have a strategy behind when you share them, because that's a big one that I see that a lot of fit pros are making. They're not real strategic. It's just kind of, oh crap, I forgot, I haven't posted on Facebook yet, I better jump on there and post something. So an action shot, or a shout out of your client. So maybe maybe one of your clients, one of their goals was to do a pull-up, and they finally did their first pull-up without using a band or any kind of assistance. So take a picture of them doing that, or flexing afterwards, or whatever, and put it out on Facebook and just say, hey, huge congratulations to to Dan. He's been working at trying to get his first pull-up for 7 weeks now, and today he finally got it. Again, tag that person in there, and that way, again, it's going to show up to their fans, because a lot of people in our society today, it's kind of sad to say, but their kind of self-esteem is pretty darn low, and there's a lot of kind of not so happy people out there. So differentiating your business by actually showing how much you care about your clients, believe it or not, can go a long way, because a lot of people have had an experience with a gym, which kind of a big box gym or a chain, where they're just kind of another number. So I think differentiating yourself by doing stuff like that and showing that, what, we actually really care about you, we know your name, and we get just as excited when you guys do something, you achieve something, as probably you do. So kind of sharing that message, again, it's being strategic on what you're putting out there, and if that's who you are and that's what your business is about, share that, let it be shown. Don't just kind of be vanilla and blend in with everyone else, but again, there's always a strategy kind of behind this as well, or just an action shot. So maybe your 9 a.m. group class, they crushed it today. I don't know if I put the beast mode on there, but maybe they had an amazing workout. So take a picture of them working out, and again, post that on your page. Just say how awesome they did, and again, tag those people on there. Now, I know probably someone's going to say, how do I tag people? I put a video up on YouTube. I went through exactly how to do it, because when I explain it, it makes sense, but it's only because I understand how to do it. But it is a bit kind of tricky. So if you're having issues with tagging clients on your page, just Google Scott Rawcliffe on YouTube, and there's a video on there. It's how to tag your Facebook friends on there. So those are some of kind of the free ways to start to kind of generate clients. Now, are you going to be generating like 10 clients a week off those sort of things? Well, no. But it might mean that maybe you get a new client once a month, or even imagine if you just got one a year just from doing that. How much is that worth to you? Is that worth putting out one post every week like that? I would say so, as long as you're hanging on to your clients for more than a month. But one thing you don't want to forget is, what is the call to action? What are you putting in there so that people, if they're kind of motivated by that post, if they're inspired by that post, that they know what the next step is. So maybe on that success story, it's like, find out how to become our next success story, and then put a link to a page where they can ask for more information, sign up for your newsletter. Maybe it's a specific page where that's someone that saw that post, but give them the opportunity to give you their contact details, but there has to be a call to action on there. And because if there isn't, they don't know what to do. I mean, think of the person in your family, or that that is the most computer illiterate. Maybe they think that clicking on the like button means that, hey, yes, I want to be the next success story, or hey, if I click on like, they're gonna contact me. So make sure you don't forget to put in some kind of call to action. Tell them what to do next if they want to come and train with you, if they want more information from you. So put that in there. And that's usually the people that are starting to put out the testimonials and before and afters and that sort of thing, and they're not really getting any return from that. This is usually why, is they forgot to put in some kind of call to action and let them know what to do next, because you'd be amazed sometimes at what people think they should do to get more information. So be really specific and kind of tell them exactly what to do. Think it's like your grandma that barely knows how to use a computer. If she can understand what the next step is, then you're good.
That's good. That's good.
So
especially since a lot of us are going after grandma.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so many people that they said, "Well, I like that post. I thought that's what you had to do," and you're like, "Really?" But again, for us, it's it makes sense. So just think that way. Make it as the silliest person, like a person that has no idea. Make it like that. So Dan, thank you for sending over this picture from when you were 5. I appreciate that.
Yep, sure thing.
Now we're going to look at creating a winning Facebook ad. Again, this is we're going to start kind of basic, but don't skip past this or don't think beyond this that you have to go any more advanced, because usually it's the small things that we have to change to really be successful with it, as opposed to real big things. So first one, media. We want to check, is our demographic actually on this media? Are the boomers on Facebook? Yes, they are. Out of any of the social media platforms that they will be on, Facebook is the one that they're more likely to be on. And if you're not sure, well, are they going to be there in my area? What you can go into is something called the Audience Insights. So I put on the URL on the top there. If you type it in wrong or anything like that, you can just type in your search box just Facebook Audience Insights, and this will come up. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but this is a tool they put on the back end of Facebook for advertisers. So you can dig deep and you can find a lot of data, a lot of information about your clientele. But here I just took a screenshot of part of the screen, and you can see on the left-hand side we have location. So we just put in San Diego, and then under age and gender, I just put 50 and then to any. So basically it's 50 and beyond, and we put both genders. So now you can see on the right there's kind of a little pixelated, Facebook was being a bit weird when I took this screenshot, but you can see a pixelated version of how many people in each of those kind of sections, both men and women, are in San Diego 50 and above. And on the top it'll say new audience, and then you can see right there's between 300 and 350,000 monthly active people who are in San Diego that are over the age of 50. So the good thing about that is it's showing us the active users, not just how many people are of that age that have a Facebook account. It's the people that are actually active on there. So, I mean, I know San Diego's a big place, but 300 to 350,000 monthly active users, that's quite a lot of people. So you can look in here. Now,
and this is just, you narrowed this down to just people 50 and above, right?
Yep.
And we can see from your graphs there's 0% in the 18 to 24, 35 to 44, and then it starts in that 45 to 54. Obviously, it's only capturing the people 50 and up. So if I wanted to make this even bigger, I could change the age to 45 and up, and I'd get more people. Or if I wanted to get more focus, say 60 and up, it'd be obviously less people. And you can do this just by gender, right? If I just want to go after women.
Yep, you could just put just women in there. You could even there's a number of different connection sort of things you can put in there, but yeah, you can do it just like that. Now, the one thing that's not going to work, where you might get frustrated, if you live in a smaller town, it's not going to have enough data, because, like I said, this was built for advertisers. So if you live in a town that has like 80,000 people, if you type in, if you were to type that city in there and put 50 and above, it would just come back with there's no data, because it's just too small. It's kind of made more for big companies, but again, this will just give you a rough idea. So even if you kind of put the broader area in, if you are in a smaller town, hopefully that will come up. Again, I don't know exactly, they don't tell you kind of what size a town has to be before they have enough information what that number is, but yeah, here's a way that you can actually go in there and take a look and see how many people are in that area. And then there's so much more information in here. But don't kind of get bogged down. Like, you can look at other pages that they've liked, their activities, their purchases online. There's so much you can do in there. That's a little bit more kind of stuff you want to get into when you're looking more advanced. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on, but just know that you can go in there and you can actually check. If you're not sure if that demographic is on Facebook, you can go and check. But you know what? There's a lot of people. Like, you look at the stats for that 50 or 60 above on Facebook, and it keeps growing every single year. Every time they kind of put out more stats, that is kind of the social media channel that they're on. So next one, we want to make sure that we're marketing right. So first, we want to make sure the media is right. Now we want to make sure the market is right. So we want to do a little bit of research first. So we saw right there that we can take a look. Are they on Facebook? Well, yes, now we know they are. And now you can use, just on the top, I'm sure everybody knows where that search browser is on the top of Facebook, where when you're face creeping and you're trying to find someone you went to high school with, you search in there. So you can use that for other things than creeping on old high school people. So you can look at, do research and figure out, well, what else do I want to actually target? Because the good thing here is that when you're creating your ads, you could target other businesses, whether they're direct competitors, or maybe they are lateral competitors. So let's say if Dan was going to create an ad, he might do, he knows there's another gym called Better Fitness, and he knows that they're kind of in the same area. So he could say pages liked by people who like Better Fitness, and that's going to bring up a bunch of other pages that people that like that page also like, and you can target off their fans. If I was trying to find more fitness professionals, I could run ads where they were targeted towards people that like Idea Health and Fitness Association, or ACE, or things like that. You could target local CrossFits, or local Planet Fitness, or what have you. But doing some research and finding out what other pages do people like, because you'll be surprised at some of the things they like on there. Maybe that you find a local restaurant or a local shop, or like Lululemon, all those sort of things. So doing a bit of research, and this not only does this help you create the ads, but it helps you kind of visualize that person on Facebook that you're trying to attract. What do they like? What are the other things that they like? And kind of get you a little bit more in-depth view of who they are. You can also look, there's a ton of things you can look on here. We can look at interests. So what are the interests that those people have, right? Again, it's just digging deeper into who this person is, because it'll allow us to speak to them a little bit better. Even like you look down here, restaurants. You can find like restaurants those people like. And if you want to get even like more technically savvy, you could say restaurants liked by people who like, Scott Rawcliffe Fitness, who live in the Gold Coast, right? So now I can see what are the restaurants here in my city that people like, that also like my page. But there's a lot of research you can do in there. You can play in there. There's so many different things you can look at. But just start with a little bit of research so you can see some other pages that you might want to use to target people, just some of their interests, some of their restaurants. Kind of another way you can look at like the restaurants or other businesses is, if you see that you have a lot of fans on your page that like a certain restaurant, maybe that's a good restaurant to call up or to go to and have a conversation with that person, and maybe do some kind of joint venture with them. Say, hey, you know what? I find out that a lot of my a lot of the people on my Facebook page or in my business really like your restaurant. What if we did like a cooking demonstration, or what if we had a social here one night? I'm pretty sure that restaurant owner would be all for it, because you're going in there and offering to bring more people into his business. So even think of it not just from the marketing standpoint on Facebook, is also looking at, maybe I can find some businesses that I can create joint ventures with as well. So there's kind of other ways we can look at those sort of things. And then, like I said, with the audience insights that we were just talking about, you can go a bit deeper with that research. So here's some of the advanced things you can look at. Again, I just want to open this up to you. If it doesn't make sense, it's okay. You don't really need to know this until you've been doing a lot of ads, and then that's when you kind of come into this. So you can look by, their behaviors, their language, whether they're married, whether they're divorced, their education. Did they go to college? Did they not? Where they work. So let's say there's a big business nearby that has 2,000 employees, and you're trying to get a corporate account in there, or you know that they would be a great fit for your gym. You could target people that work at that place, or you could target the CEO of that business. So there's some sneaky things you can do in there to make sure your message gets in front of the right person. Financials, so you can target people that are only in certain income brackets, whether they have a home or are homeowners or renters, whether they're parents. You can even target on politics or life events. And that's probably beyond what you need to do on here, because I'm pretty sure no one's avatar is just only a Democrat or a liberal or anything like that. But I don't know. You never know. But with saying all that, you want to do a bit of research so you can get to understand your avatar or your prospect on Facebook. But I always tell people, start broad and then narrow down. So here's where I would start. If you've never run ads before, or you're finding your ads aren't doing so well and you're targeting quite specifically, scale back a bit. What are the zip codes if you live in the US, or what are the suburbs if you live kind of in Canada or Australia or New Zealand? I'm pretty sure they can do zip codes in the UK now, but just narrow it down to the zip codes or the suburbs that your prospects would live in. Narrow it down by the age, and then also run an ad for a male and a female. So that's where I would start. That's very broad. It's not narrowing it down very far, but I want to start there and see what are my results from that. And now let me see if I can make it better by narrowing it down. If your results don't get any better by narrowing it down, those things that you're adding into it. So let's say we put in our ad has our local zip codes and we're targeting women over 50, and that gets us 10 new leads for $1 a new lead. And then we decided, okay, well, I'm going to target those people, but they also have to like Planet Fitness, Gold's Gym, and Faster Fitness, and those are the gyms in my area. Then all of a sudden now, I get more lead, or not as many leads, or just the same amount of leads, but it's costing me a lot more money, and that doesn't translate into more clients coming to my gym. Well, whatever those, putting those gyms in there didn't actually make it a better search. So those aren't good terms to use to get your types of clients. Now, I know that might sound a little bit confusing, but start real broad. Don't narrow down, because too many people put in too many things. They have to be between this age and live in this zip code and like Lululemon and make so much money. You have to make over $100,000, and kind of they add so many things. Whoops, that it just the return doesn't get any better. So start broad, then narrow down. Did that kind of make sense, Dan? Or do you think there's any questions that maybe people would have on that part there?
Yeah, that makes sense, and I'm sure it varies depending on the size of your market too, in terms of how broad you have to start. If you're in San Diego, you probably can be a little more narrow than if you're in a city of 50,000. So
and
for me, a lot of times I start with female 50 plus, and that's pretty broad, and then I narrow it down from there into different ages and maybe income and other categories. But
nice.
So yeah, I mean, I think you're right. You got to start broad and then start to hone in.
And to be totally honest, I mean, there's one thing I know for certain on Facebook is that no two markets are the same. And because people say like this always works, and nothing always works. But if I were to kind of be real general, is typically the smaller your market is, the more broad you can stay, and the bigger your market is, usually you have to narrow down a little bit more. So I mean, that's an advantage of being in a smaller market, is usually you don't have to get real technical or narrow things down too far to find great leads. But if you do live in a bigger city, or it's quite a large market where there's a few 100,000 people in those zip codes or those suburbs, that's when you typically have to narrow it down and kind of figure it out. So, but I mean, that's a generality. But like I said, start broad, see how it goes. If you're getting leads and you're happy with it, with the price you're paying for it, then you don't even have to narrow it down. Why make things more difficult? If you're getting a good return on your investment, then just stick with that, rather than if you have a winner, stick with it. I'm all for that. So that's kind of where you want to start with how you target. And I know that's for people when they first start out. That's a common mistake. They try to add in too many variables, and then now they can't figure out, well, what was the variable that probably didn't work. So start big, and then you can narrow it down, and then that makes a lot more sense. And the last one, the message. Now, this is kind of where you can do the most amount of tweaking and figure it out. But if the message isn't right, then you're not going to attract any clients in the door. And this is it comes back to understanding, real basic marketing, real basic copywriting, that sort of thing. But this is typically, if an ad is failing, this is probably why. It probably has to do with the message. So that's kind of what you need to think about. But before you start, you need to think about, what are your goals? When you create an ad, what is the goal of that ad? If your goal is to get more likes on that post, I'm going to ask you to probably spend that money somewhere else, or just send it to me, and I'll go and like every single post you do, if that's kind of your only goal. But think about, what is the end result that I want to get? Like, is it about getting more clients? Is it getting this message in front of my potential clients from a branding perspective or a education perspective? But know what your goal is before you start marketing things or paying for advertisements, because sometimes, I know it sounds really silly, but sometimes people get so wrapped up in the numbers of how many people saw it and how many people liked it. But at the end of the day, you do have a business, and your goal should be kind of tied to some kind of financial reward to that. I'm super passionate about helping people, and I know we change lives, but you don't have money to be spending on just getting likes, because that doesn't really drive your business forward. So think about, what is the goal behind this ad before you kind of start running it. So step one, when you go into the ad manager, the first thing you need to do is choose your objective. So these are kind of the 5 that you might be using. The other ones don't really make sense for your business. The only one I left off that does make sense for your business is increase conversions to your website, and that's the 4th one down. That's something that's a bit more advanced, or intermediate advanced. So if you're just starting out, don't worry about that one. But if you have been doing ads for a while, maybe that is something you want to do. But the other ones, get installs on your app, increase engagement on your app. We don't have apps or anything like that. So boost your post. That's the first one. That's just making your post show up to more people. So let's say you had a written testimonial of one of your clients and you wanted that to reach more people. That's kind of what you would pick there. Promote your page. That's basically trying to get more fans onto your page. And I think, you should, every now and then, you should put a little bit of money towards trying to get more fans on your page, because there's a number of reasons behind that. One is authority, right? It shows that there's kind of there's more people that like your page. I would never go out and buy fake fans, because that does no good for your page. It also helps you when you do advertisements. So if a friend of a friend sees an ad, that typically will show up if you pick the right targeting. So there's a number of reasons why you would want to pay through Facebook to kind of build up your fan base. But I wouldn't make that my #1 priority. The next one, send people to your website. So again, if you're trying to get people over to your website to sign up for a promotion, or to sign up to get your lead magnet or your free report, that's kind of the option you want to pick there. This is kind of an intermediate one, but reach people near your business. Some people have had success with running ads with doing that, and that'll give people the ability to actually phone you as well. But that would, like I said, if you're just starting out, I wouldn't probably go with that one. If you've been doing some ads and you feel comfortable, that might be something you want to try. And then the last one is get video views. Like I said, they're really Facebook's driving video a lot more, so getting people to see those videos. So again, like Dan had a kind of a before and after video they put together, and that would be something that I would pay to get more people to actually see that. So step one is just figuring out what is your objective. Make sure that you pick the right objective. So if you're trying to get more fans on your page, you're probably not going to want to send people to my website, right? Or if you have no website in the actual post, well, you're not going to pick send people to my website, because it doesn't make sense. So make sure that objective makes sense, and these are the ones that are going to make sense for your fitness business. Step number 2, how much do you spend? So when you're starting out, typically I like to say the first time you run an ad, you want to make sure you spend enough money that you can get a result that you can make a decision on. If you only spend like, $5 on an ad, it's probably not going to show up to enough people to actually give you a good indication whether that's going to be a good ad to run or not. So usually what I recommend is spending $20 a day just for 2 days to start off with for your ad, because that will show up to enough people to allow you to see, is this working or not? Like I said, if you only put $5 on for 2 days, it would reach a very small portion of who you're trying to market towards, and then the chance of it just showing up to too many of the wrong people, especially when we start with that broader audience, it's too high to actually figure out, do I need to change something in that ad? So that's my recommendation to start with, because you don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on your ad if it's a dud. So by putting $20 a day for 2 days on it, you're not going to spend more than $40. It turns off in 2 days. And you just go back in there and check. Now after that, what's a good price to pay? Depends on how many people you're trying to reach. It depends on your return on investment. So a real kind of basic way to see it beyond what Facebook is showing you, because I think they sometimes lie about the on the right you can see estimated daily reach. Typically what I find with most pages is that if you take the budget, how much you're going to spend in cents, that's about how many people you're going to reach. So if we're spending $20, it's probably going to get in front of about 2,000 people. And that gives you a rough idea of how many people your budget will reach. But if you're getting a new person to come into your gym for every $100 you spend, well, is a new client worth $100 to you? Yes or no? If it is, I would be spending that much money every day, or ramping it up to 200 or 300 a day. But if you know how much, kind of keeping track of how much money do I spend before I get a client to come in the door with this ad and sign up. And if it's something that you're happy with, no matter what any stats say, keep running it. If you're happy to pay $50 to get a new client, I would be, then I would keep running that every day, all day, because I know I'm making 10, 20 times that on return on my investment. And then if we kind of look down here, and this is one where it's clicks to website, but it's going to be similar to any kind of objective you pay. It'll optimize for kind of impressions, and that's kind of it always kind of picks like Facebook's going to figure out the algorithm to get it in front of the most people that it thinks it should be. So again, when you're starting out, don't go in there and set a bid, because basically you're saying that you know more than Facebook on how to get in front of your potential client. If you set it too low, it's not going to get in front of many people. If you set it too high, well, you're just wasting money. So when you're starting out, just pick the optimize for pricing and just get more link clicks at the best price or more video views at the best price. It'll always say kind of get more of whatever your objective is at the best price. Stick with that, and that'll give you the time to figure out, okay, what am I paying? Kind of what is a good number for this, because it's letting Facebook kind of figure out through their algorithm, what's how to get in front of those people. Facebook is different than most marketing channels, because what they do is the better your ads perform, the cheaper they get. So they're almost giving you a bonus or incentivizing you for putting out better advertising. Mark Zuckerberg, in the last 6 months, it was maybe 5-6 months ago, he was quoted saying kind of where he sees Facebook in the future is he wants to make the ads that show up in your news feed just as relevant as the posts from your fan or from your friends. So they're really putting a lot of effort into making sure that the ads that show up to you are really relevant. So that's the good thing with Facebook is even when you get more, they're kind of figuring out the algorithm for you. They're trying to make it as cheap as possible because they want you to spend more money there. And then underneath there, ad scheduling, that's pretty simple. You just pick the day you want it to start, the day you want it to end. I typically just run it. I don't put in times like from 9 to 5 it runs. I just let it go for that full 24-hour period because you just never know when people are on their internet these days. And then step 3, on the top you'll see here, you can pick an image or you can pick a video. with your clicks to website. So up there, that's where you're going to put kind of your creative, your image or your video. And now this is when we got to really start to think about our copywriting. So we move down there. We can see, we pick our page. If you have more than one page, here we're highlighting Dan's Miracle Fitness. And then we move down. We have the headline. So that is what's going to be underneath the picture or the video. And we want to make sure that that kind of stands out, that grabs people's attention, and not just because it'll self-populate from your website, whatever it kind of pulls in from what's called Facebook's Open Graph. It's just geeky terms for pulling in information from your website. So making sure that headline kind of grabs people's attention, doesn't want to be overly long. And then the next box down, that's the text, and that's what's going to appear just above the picture or above the video. Now, what I like to do in there is I usually like to leave kind of right, almost thinking headline. So there's a bit of a headline, then I, press enter twice so there's a space between before I put in any more of the words in there. And that's where you want to talk more about the benefits than the features. And that's kind of, that's a typical thing a lot of us trainers do, as we focus too much on the benefits and not as much on the features. So I'm going to give you an example of how hotels do this and how ridiculous it would be if they marketed like a lot of fitness professionals. So has anyone ever walked into the, well, I'll ask you, Dan, have you ever walked in the hotel room and turned around and went, oh my God, honey, guess what? They have a bath and a bed in this room. Oh my God.
Amazing, the features.
Yeah. So imagine a hotel. Imagine you see a big poster for the Westin saying, with every room you get a bed and a bathroom. People would like shake their head. But so often we say, we got TRX, kettlebell, and treadmills. And do you not think people know you got, treadmills in your gym or you have dumbbells in your gym? So that's kind of, every time when you write that, think over that analogy, because that analogy kind of really helped me think of the way I wrote things. I was like, yeah, I can't imagine a hotel. I think they're the dumbest hotel on earth. So imagine what some of those prospects are thinking when they're like, we got bikes and treadmills and dumbbells. So, talk about kind of what will change in their life, or kind of what's going to happen if they actually come and see you in that text. And then underneath that, there's a call to action button. You can play with that. I like to put on there's a few. There's like buy now. The one I like to use is just learn more. It doesn't sound super salesy, and it lets them know, again, for that person who's not really kind of sure what to do, it just adds another button in there that makes sense if they're on the internet. So I usually like to put that in there, especially it's probably even better if you're targeting that over 50 population, just to be a little bit more on the safe side, because it's a little bit more intuitive based on how we understand computers work. And then underneath that, we have the newsfeed link description, and where you fill that in, that's going to go just underneath the actual headline. So underneath the picture, it says functional aging, then underneath that, it says, functionalaginginstitute.com by Dan Ritchie. Well, that's where the newsfeed link description would go, and that's where we can put a little bit more information in there. It just gives us a little bit more text where we can explain, some more of those benefits. Or you could actually, in there, if you wanted to put more of the benefits actually above the photo, and then you could put maybe some of the things you have in there, because maybe you do have some unique equipment or some unique tools in your gym. Maybe that's where you want to put it in there, because people do want to know kind of some of the features, but make sure we're talking a little bit more about those benefits for people. So that's kind of your step 3. Some best practices about creating those ads is, like I said, thinking headlines, like what's going to grab people's attention. Because if you think about most people are looking at Facebook on their mobile devices now. So you think about when, next time you go to a Starbucks, something like that, take a look around at how people are using their mobile device. You just see their finger flicking through their newsfeed. So we want to try to grab their attention either by the headline or by that photo. What kind of picture can you put on there that might grab someone's attention? Because that's also part of the marketing messages, is putting the right photo on there. So, if you have a picture of a guy, flexing his biceps, and you're targeting women over 50, they're going to scroll right past that. So even thinking about making sure that image matches, the person you're trying to get in front of. Like I said, focus on the benefits, because, again, everyone knows that a gym has exercise equipment. Next one, and this is just to make sure your ads get approved. you want to try, and I know this is like, this kind of goes against good copywriting and good marketing, but you want to try to sound like you're talking to many, not just one. So talking to a group of people as opposed to just one, because Facebook doesn't like, basically it hurts people's feelings if it sounds like you're talking to a single person. That's kind of, to put in a nutshell, what they're saying. So instead of saying like, are you tired of not fitting into your clothes? That could sound like it's talking to a single person, but you could say, here at Greater Fitness, we help people feel better in their clothes. So that's kind of an example of talking to many as opposed to just one singular person. So if you're ever getting, if you've run some ads before, or you start to and you get them disapproved because of the language you're using, like vulgar language, they kind of gives up a whole description, and you're like, what did I say? It's usually that. Usually because you're kind of talking to a single person, and that might hurt someone's feelings. That's kind of the basis behind them. And then give them a reason to actually click. So if you're sending them to the website, give them a reason to actually click through. If you're trying to get more likes on your page, like more fans on your page, give them a reason to actually like that. Tell them exactly, again, it comes back to benefits, but make sure you give them a reason to actually go through there. Don't make it so vanilla that they scroll straight past it. And then if you're starting to run ads, if you are running ads, if you've been running ads forever, always check Facebook advertising guidelines. You can just type that in. It does change just kind of randomly. They don't put out like a major announcement that they've changed it. So always be checking, because it is your responsibility to understand what you can and can't put on there, because you can get your account banned. It does happen. It's not happening near as much anymore, but kind of earlier this year it was, you just could make one mistake and you would get your account banned, and then trying to get it back was a little bit of effort. So just always kind of check that, stay on top. Just make it a habit to check in. If you're consistently running ads, check in once a month, or every couple of weeks, or just find someone that you can just reach out to and say, hey, like, has anything changed? Like someone that keeps up to date with that sort of thing. But just make sure you're always checking to make sure you're staying within the guidelines of what Facebook wants us to do. And then just realize this is how you learn. You're not always going to be right. You're going to create some ads that suck. You're going to create some ads that really give you no return on investment. They might not give you any clicks, but guess what? That's how you learn. When I first started doing this, I spent a few $1,000s just running random ads all over the place just to try to work out how to use it. It got me zero return on my investment, but it was just for me to kind of figure out, okay, what do people like to click on? What do they not like to click on? What gets more engagement? But realize that's how you learn. So don't be too afraid to spend money, because I see a lot of people doing that. They're too afraid to spend any money because they're afraid they're not going to get that return. But as long as you realize that's how you're going to learn, so the next time you do an ad, it's going to perform better, or you're actually going to get someone out of it. If you just use kind of those budgeting ideas I told you about, $20 a day for 2 days, worst case scenario, you're out of pocket $40, but you realize that picture you just used definitely doesn't work. So you're like, okay, cool, I know a picture like that is not going to work, or I know those words probably don't work, or whatever it is. But that's how you learn, and that's that's really how you're going to go from starting out not really understanding what to do and getting mediocre results to getting pretty good results. It's just actually by doing it. But just realize you're gonna be wrong, and you're gonna do some dud ads out there. But at the end of the day, if you always remember it's just a learning experience, then it's money well spent, really, if that's the way you look at it. That's kind of all I have for just kind of the Facebook 101 lesson. I do have an inner circle program where I help people go through this, and we talk about all the social media marketing. We talk about Facebook, keep you up to date with what's going on with Facebook and all the changes. Like they just introduced Instagram ads a few weeks ago, so we're kind of experimenting with that. I'm not going to tell you a whole bunch about it. You can find out more. You can go to bit.ly/join SM3 if you want to find out more about it, or send me a message. But I do have a resource there. We have a private little Facebook group where we try to get a lot of interaction, and we break down people's ads campaigns and kind of figure out what's going wrong with it so everyone can learn. But it's something I'm pretty passionate about because I started out, I still am. I'm a trainer geek. Like I'm just looking at my bookshelf now. I just have tons of like textbooks on there, and I just love that stuff. And I never put enough time into marketing. And then, finally I figured out I need to do this, and I kind of just got it, especially on the social media side. And it bugs me that there's a lot of real bad trainers out there that are doing well just because they understand marketing. And there's so many amazing trainers that could be helping more people and that are frustrated and are just getting by because they can't quite figure it out. So that's why I decided I can, even though I'm a trainer geek, I'll be a Facebook geek as well. Never get too much geek, right?
That's why we wanted to have you on, because we want to help obviously more of the functional aging specialists and functional aging folks, use social media and Facebook more effectively. Let's take a couple questions.
I'd love to.
We had a couple questions come in. Brett asked, what strategy do you suggest if your clients don't want to be photographed? And in general, they're not on Facebook. I've actually had, I'll answer one part of that. Brett is
okay.
A client we had who went from size 20 to size 4 is not on Facebook, so I can't tag her. I can't get activity from her, but she has actually commented to me. Several of my friends have seen me on Facebook, my before and after picture. So it's still effective, and she was willing to be photographed, so that helped. But how would you answer that, Scott, especially with clients that don't want to be photographed?
I would find out whether or not we could photograph, without seeing their face on there, or blur out their face. If they're not comfortable with that, well, you just got to take someone else. You just got to respect their privacy, because some people are. I mean, we have clients that, if we're doing a video or we're taking pictures, they're like, make sure I'm not in there. And we're just like, okay, cool. We just make sure that they never kind of appear on anything. So just, really just respecting someone's privacy. One of my coaching clients just the other day was actually pretty smart. I actually told him, I was like, wow, I never thought of that. He had a lady, and she was in her late 50s, and she looked fantastic. But she didn't want her picture. She didn't want her face to be shown. She didn't want people to know who it was. So he took a picture of her in a sports bra doing a chin-up from behind. And it got so much. It was his best post he's had all year as far as the amount of likes and people that saw it. And I was like, I've never even thought of that. So there's another idea I literally just learned just the other day. If they just don't want their face to be shown, like how else can you show it? Because she had a really nice body, but she just didn't want her face to be shown. So there's ways around it. But if they really don't want to be photographed, then then that's when you would kind of shift that person. It's like, cool. Well, let's do a success story on you. Because I really want to show everyone what an amazing job you do, and I want your story to help inspire other people. So can we do a story instead? And that's kind of the best way to get that out there if they don't want their picture taken.
Yeah. I guess I would add to that, Brett. You're probably going to have, especially, and I see it in men and women, but women more so. They just don't want their picture taken, and so you're probably going to have half to 2/3 of your clients that refuse to have their pictures taken to be used this way. But all you have to do is get a handful of clients, 2 or 3 that are willing to do it, and then you're off and rolling. So, so just because a lot of them won't do it, find the few that will. So, Ryan, go ahead, Scott.
I just want to add something on this. It kind of has nothing to do with Facebook marketing, but when someone almost take that opportunity when someone's like, I don't want to get a photo. They're like, oh, why? Like I would just say, oh, why? Like kind of like confused, like you don't understand why. And just let them explain why, because I mean, we work with a lot of women as well, and I find that women are very good at complimenting other women, but not themselves. So almost use that experience. Like just the other day, a couple of girls were being negative, and we just turned it around. I said, all right, cool. I'm like, all right, Mel, I want you to say something nice. I want you to tell, all the girls, I want you to tell Mel what you like about her most. And then we literally went around, and I felt like a school teacher, but made them all kind of say, what do you like best about that person? What do you like best about there? What do you like best about them? And I had a text later that day saying, thank you so much. They're like, I forget how negative I am on myself, and I never thought I had a nice bum or nice legs or whatever. So, almost, it has nothing to do with Facebook marketing, but maybe just use that opportunity to see why don't they want to be photographed, and maybe it's just that, again, I talk about self-esteem. Maybe it's that self-esteem thing, and, kind of use that opportunity to make them realize what a beautiful person they are, or how amazing they are, and let other people kind of help you do that.
Okay, Ryan, really just a comment, says he just brought in $4,000 on a $60 Facebook post that he boosted. So
Awesome.
way to go on that. Awesome stuff. Kind of verification again. I would say $60 for a $4,000 training. That's a pretty good ROI. So keep doing that, Ryan.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say, whatever you just did, do it again.
Yeah, that's kind of what I told
him. Same people. Yeah.
That's what I told him in the comments. Do it again. So, and he said they tried it as an ad and it didn't work as well as the boosted post, so they're running the boost again. I said, yeah, keep doing that. So, this one's for you. This one's for you, Scott. Kimberly says, go for that overall full ownership of geekdom. So I don't know that you need to respond to that one, but Kimberly does have a legitimate question for you. Do you recommend searching for pages liked by pages or solely pages liked by people?
I would, well, it kind of depends on what your goal is. Like if you know the business owner for that page, and that you're trying to get some insights into what, who else they're kind of looking at, you might look at pages liked by pages, but for your fitness business, I would be looking at the pages liked by people, or the other pages liked by people. But if you're trying to do some like in-depth scouting on like a competitor, and looking at what other pages does that page like, that's when you can do that. Or you could just go onto their page and you can see that down the left-hand side. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for. So hopefully that answers your question, and I will embrace my inner geek. I got my thick black glasses on this morning, so.
All right, last question from John. If you let Facebook choose your bid, what if it's too high and it eats up your daily budget within the first 6 to 12 hours in a day?
What happens there is your ad sucks. That's the kind of the the short of it. If it uses up really quick, it means that because they're trying to make it as cheap as possible, because the cheaper they make it, the more likely you're going to be on there and continue to spend money on it. So if it eats it up real quick, it's going to be two things. Either your budget is way too low for the amount of people you're trying to reach. So, if you spend $5 and your audience is, $20,000, it's going to get eaten up pretty darn quick. But if your budget kind of matches the size of your audience and it gets eaten up really quick, then it just means your ad's really bad. It's not getting a lot of views. It's not getting any likes or clicks or anything like that. And the more someone interacts, the more people interact with your ad, that drives down the cost. So it's going to be one of those two things. Either your budget's way too small for the size of the audience you're targeting, or it's a crap ad. You need to change something because no one's interacting with it, and Facebook's trying to make it cheap, but your ad is crap. So they're going to basically, if it's a good ad, they're going to make it cheaper. If it's a bad ad, they're going to make it more expensive, so it doesn't bother any other Facebook people. So
gotcha. Okay.
Hopefully, it's just the audience size the budget didn't match the audience size. Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Well, Scott, thanks so much for doing this. We are going to have Scott back in November. I think we're looking at the week of first or second week in November, around the 5th or 6th, assuming we can organize our time zones for Facebook 201. So we'll get into a little more complicated stuff, kind of take it up a level from there. So if you are listening to this on the recording, make sure you're ready for Facebook 201 coming in November. Thanks again, Scott.
Thank you so much, guys, and thanks for everything you guys do out there for changing lives and making the fitness industry a legitimate place. I do mean that from the bottom of my heart, and thank you, Dan and Cody, even though Cody's not on here. It's only because I don't understand him when he speaks because of that accent, but thank you for what you guys do. I think the FAI is an amazing organization, much needed, and I look forward to seeing how many lives it changes in the next 10 years.
All right, thanks so much. Until next time.